A warm welcome to the news in details. Now, Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has expressed the country's solidarity with the people of the UK and the royal family following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Take a look.
Flags are at half-mast in Rwanda following the death of the Queen, and the ceremony was organized in Kigali to allow people to pay their respects.
Ku giti cye wagize uruhare rukomeye mu mateka y'igihugu cy'Ubwongereza ariko no mu mateka y'isi yaramaze imyaka.
She personally played an important role in the history of not only her country but the world as well, having reigned for 70 years. She also helped to promote good relations between Rwanda and the UK. Also, we are part of the Commonwealth and during this year hosted CHOGM, assuming the chair of the association. So obviously it became necessary for us to stand with the United Kingdom, that is our friend, in the wake of the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The passing of the Queen has been felt globally.
This is an incredibly sad time for my country and for the people of the United Kingdom, and also I think for people around the world. Her Majesty, the Queen, really managed to touch so many people's lives, and many people are moved by her death. So it is a sad time, but at the same time, you know, what I have really been touched by is this outpouring of emotion for Her Majesty, a sense of love, a sense of respect for the way that she lived her life, and that is really heartwarming to the British people at this time.
As the head of the Commonwealth of Nations, Queen Elizabeth II was very instrumental in fostering good relations between its member states. We have had good relations with the UK for some time, and the Queen knew of our history and facilitated that good relationship. There is no doubt about that. Every year that bond grows stronger, and she played a role in making that possible, which is why we are standing with the people of the UK and the world in general in paying our respects to her. She played an important role in global affairs, but also in the bilateral relations between our two countries. I believe that is clear to see. UK nationals living here in Rwanda also shared their experiences in the wake of the passing of their Queen.
Queen Elizabeth was an amazing figure to all of us, and I know not just in the UK but around the world. And she was an amazing figure. I think one of the most amazing things about her was her consistency. I think that, you know, the world has been through, you know, she was there when Winston Churchill was, you know, was Prime Minister. Like, she's seen wars, she's seen all the different changes, world wars, different things that have happened. She has always been there. So it was very strange, like, oh, she's gone, and she's been through so much, seen so much, you know, she even went through COVID in her very old age, and she even survived that. Like, she just kept on going.
Had we thought of that it was planted in the shade?
Queen Elizabeth II died on Thursday, September the 8th, 2022, at the age of 96.
Prioritizing nutrition was made a point of emphasis during the UN's Assistant Secretary General Gerda's Verburg's discussion with the Prime Minister of Rwanda, where it was broadly conveyed that promoting nutrition is at the forefront of UN's expectations of Africa's countries. Precious Kirezi has this report.
The Prime Minister of Rwanda hosted the UN's Assistant Secretary General for a discussion whose focus was on the country's plan for nutrition enhancement and food security. The UN Assistant Secretary General commends the measures Rwanda has already taken to push this initiative.
Rwanda is really giving the leadership of investing in people, investing in their children, starting with young children during their first 1,000 days to build up their physical but also their cognitive development so that they can play an important role in the country. Children can do better in education, adults are more productive and can escape poverty. So I admire, and we have seen proof of this in Rwanda, that though from time to time there are challenges, the Rwandan government is really decided to have nutrition as a core opportunity for their development. The government is ambitious, but works very well together amongst themselves, but also with the UN, with civil society, with private sector, and with investors to make it happen. Because the motto of the government is we want to develop ourselves and we want others to support us, but we are in the driving seat. And this is a shining example for Africa. So this week we've heard and seen a lot of evidence of this that we can use, and I will bring to also many other African and other countries, because as I said, there are 65 member countries who want to improve nutrition as the driver and catalyst for social development, social and economic development.
Rwanda's Minister of Agriculture has pointed out that despite the strides we have made as a country to fill the nutrition gap, there is still room for improvement.
Turacyafite urugendo. Iyo urebye cyane cyane mu Rwanda ikibazo dufite cy'imirire mibi ni ririya.
We still have a long way to go with improving nutrition, and I say this in regards to the malnutrition and stunting occurrences, especially in children under the age of 5. 57% of the children have fit the criteria since 1994, and we are now at 30%. Our focal goal is to keep those numbers down with the help of government programs like Jirinka. Every ministry and our partners do a yearly pledge to determine how many cows or liters of milk they intend to contribute to halt malnutrition.
Kurandura burundu imirire mibi tuzihutishe ku buryo bwisumbuye.
Rwanda is one of the 65 countries participating in the UN's nutrition scaling movement. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa Forum, which has been taking place in Rwanda, was concluded by joining forces to find solutions that ensure that the agricultural sector services as a catalyst for the development and well-being of the people of Africa. Isabel Masozera has this report.
Among the discussions on the last day of the summit was a dialogue between agricultural experts and youth, where African youth were encouraged to participate in agriculture and breeding because it is one of the ways to reduce youth unemployment in the country. The Minister of Youth and Culture, Rosemary Mbabazi, says the agricultural sector has many opportunities for young people who want to start their own businesses. Farming is not just about picking up a hoe, but it is working together with those who are using one. It is about using technology and machines to increase harvest, and all that can be done by the youth in the value chain because they are exposed to technology. They are many and can look for market in and out of the country. It is important to sensitize the youth about this. Environmental protection, a powerful weapon in the efforts to protect the food supply chain, was also a point of discussion. Rwanda's Minister of Environment asserted that climate change is an issue that deserves everyone's attention.
You all are aware that climate changes are affecting food system, utilization and stability. The increase of temperature and change in rainfall patterns affect negatively the production of crops and livestock.
Denying you the right.
From this, the president of Alliance of a Green Revolution in Africa, Dr. Agnes Karibata, emphasized that those at the highest levels of decision-making should value and seek a solution to the problem of climate change.
We had a conversation around the food crisis and asking ourselves, how did we get here? How could we, a continent that has so much land, so much capacity, be in a position where we are struggling with food security? And it is clear that we need to do more. Our leaders of industry, leaders of countries, everybody agrees that we need to find the answers in ourselves. Some of it is going to have to do with diversifying into crops we produce, eating what we produce, and really putting and making sure that we also add value to what we produce so that we minimize the amount of food we need to get from somewhere else.
According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, finding capital for those who work in the food chain, improving research, and creating infrastructure is part of what was agreed on in the meeting to solve the existing problems. The permanent secretary for the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources says that it is very important that the decisions are implemented.
Ariko twumvikanye ko ibikorwa kugira ngo dusubize ibibazo duhura nabyo umunsi ku munsi.
We agreed to have solutions to the problems raised daily and find solutions compatible with the whole continent.
AGRF board chairman, who also once served as Prime Minister of Ethiopia, said that the summit was a catalyst to achieve the goals of the African continent, stressing that it is time to start implementing what was agreed upon.
We must set the vision and the agenda. In food systems for Africa, the AU common position reflects what we want. In food systems for Africa, the AU common position reflects what we want. Our governments have reaffirmed this. This summit has strengthened this position, and we know what to do.
The summit had been taking place here in Kigali since Monday and was attended by more than 2,000 delegates. About 4,000 people also joined virtually, including heads of state, former heads of state, assistants of heads of state, and others. Isabel Masozera, RwandaTV News.
Delegates at the just concluded AGRF summit spoke to our colleague Jean-Pierre Kagabo to tell him of their experiences and the significance of the gathering. Take a look.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Phyllis Henge Fombonyo, and I'm the head of strategic partnerships for CABI Africa. CABI stands for Center for Agriculture Bioscience International. It's an intergovernmental organization with 49 member countries across the globe, 17 of which happen to be in Africa. What we do at CABI is that we help farmers grow more and lose less of what they're producing, especially through our well-renowned flagship program, which we call Plantwise Plus. We have been in existence for over 100 years, actually. We were founded in 1910. And over the years, we are also recognized for being able to promote low-risk solutions to the management of pests and diseases, which is quite important when you think about climate change and the need to safeguard our biodiversity. And so I'm very pleased to be part of this very important conference, which comes at a time we know when we are recovering from COVID, the Ukrainian crisis that has meant that we don't get our supplies as we are used to, the grains especially. Plus, we know that when it comes to farm inputs, there is an over-reliance on countries like Russia, especially with fertilizer. So it's really important to have this conference for us to think about how do we really build our own resilience. It is time that we became self-sufficient as Africa. So this conference is exploring solutions to do exactly that. I'm also pleased that there is remarkable progress that the continent is making. Like we know, for instance, Ethiopia, the other day just announced that they've been able to increase their wheat production by 70%. That's really important because we know wheat is one of the commodities that we tend to import. But right now, Ethiopia is leading the way, showing us that it can be done. And I know eventually by next year, they're hoping to be a net wheat exporter. So I'm also thankful to AGRA for convening us because this then gives us an opportunity to explore African solutions, especially us being the Africans who are predominantly the ones participating in this conference. I think AGRF has been around for 5 years now, started in 2017, but I know the last 2 years it's proven a challenge to meet, obviously, because of COVID. So it's really good that we've been able to meet and consistently trying to ask ourselves, how do we address the whole issue of food insecurity? And there are very interesting innovations that are coming. Just for example, yesterday I attended a pitch session by the youth, and they're coming up with these interesting ways of how they can utilize waste. There was an example of banana peels and eggshells to actually come up with biofertilizers. And that's very important because farmers need fertilizers, and We need them to find environmental solutions, environmentally friendly solutions first and foremost, but also solutions that are African in nature, but the ones that we can control, that are local. So it's very, very interesting to hear that. Maybe to give another example, there was also somebody from Kenya who has come up with a solution of being able to tell pesticides by installing some cameras in the farm, and which can scan a radius of 300 meters, send that information to a central database, and then an SMS to farmers to tell them this is the challenge that you're likely to have, and this is the solution that you should find. So those are really interesting innovations to showcase in an important platform like this one.
While celebrating the World Physiotherapy Day, the Rwanda Physical Therapy Organization has reminded the general public to go for regular checkups because bone and muscle diseases can be quite severe when not treated properly. Betty Mutoni has this report.
In Kigali's car-free zone, many people came for checkups for their bones and muscles, especially those who spend most of their time seated, and they were given advice by physiotherapists, as they explain.
Baransuzumye rero mbatekerereza kumerewe barambaza ndabasubiza.
They have checked me and asked me how I feel. I explained to them, and then I was advised on what to do so that my muscles are well and what I can do to reduce fats. Therefore, this activity was needed. Next time they should inform people before, because most of them need it.
Naje kwisuzumisha ibintu bijyanye n'ingingo.
I came to have my bones checked, and they gave us advice mostly to those with bones and muscle diseases on what to take. Experts are encouraging people, mostly those who sit for many hours, to find ways and the time to move about, because sitting for a long time affects the skeleton, especially the backbone.
That people need to be active. That is the simplest message I can give to the people. When you sit on a computer for 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, you are predisposing yourself to some musculoskeletal conditions that will cause you not to be productive. So people need to move. Though you are busy with work, though you are busy on your computer, you are busy in your office, you need to move, you need to have proper positions in using your computer. And it is good if you seek advice to physiotherapists to support, to help people to know what kind of movement, what kind of exercises, what kind of activities needs to be done.
World Physiotherapy Day is celebrated on the 8th of September every year since 1996. This story was filed by Betty Mutoni and read to you by Sarah Shinhore for Rwanda Television News.
Legal personnel in Rwanda say that providing legal assistance to the vulnerable people will help in the implementation of the Justice for All principle. This is said as in Rwanda there have been an introduction of a project that will provide legal aid to the citizens. Prince Manzi has this report.
The Advocates for International Development in partnership with Legal Aid Forum has launched a project named the Pro Bono Legal Aid Project, aimed at providing legal assistance to the vulnerable citizens. Some of the legal personnel in Rwanda say that this is a step that demonstrates how the government wants a justice for all system.
It means the government is committed to put up in place the mechanism that protects citizens. Legal aid is one of those mechanisms, and we believe that this project will come up with a successful side because all the citizens, especially vulnerable people, will have the rights to access courts and other decision-making organs.
The senior legal aid attorney at the Legal Aid Forum, Jean-Paul Ibambe, elaborates on some of the major issues the citizens they serve commonly face.
So if we look at the cases we are assisting, GBV-related cases are on the rise. We are still having issues related to child development as such. We've got issues of teen murders. So they are among people who need our services freely because they are vulnerable, first of all, and they are victims of GBV. So So they are among people that we see need more assistance. The same applies for land-related cases, because we still have land-related cases that are so many here. These are expropriation, land dispute. So if you look at our statistics, these are among most assisted cases in our database.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Advocates for International Development, Yasmin Batliwada, states that this project is not for only providing assistance to the vulnerable people, but also building capacity for future generations.
We want to be able to provide legal support, and we want to build up momentum, so this will be available to build capacity for generations to come. We're making a small start in that process.
The 4 years pro bono legal aid project will focus on the districts of Kicukiro, Gasabo and Nyarugenge, as they have the higher rate of those in need of legal services. Prince Manzi, RTV News.
Denmark is going to open an office in Rwanda that is responsible for receiving information about immigrants in order to reduce the number of people that die trying to make it to Europe. The move will also help migrants to make such journeys legally. The Danish delegation, including those from the Ministry of Immigration and the Ministry of Development, held talks with the Rwandan Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Emergency Management. One of the topics discussed by both parties is related to solving the problems of migrants heading to European countries. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Rwanda, Dr. Vincent Biruta, said that the fact that Denmark is going to open an office responsible for hearing and solving the problems of asylum seekers in Europe will reduce the number of people who face difficulties through illegal channels, hence resulting into human trafficking.
Tukaba twarumvikanye rero ko tuzakorana na Denmark kugira ngo kiriya kibazo cy'abimukira bagenda.
We have agreed with Denmark to find a concrete solution to the issue of immigrants that get trafficked. Currently, we have an agreement, but we are also discussing everything in detail. Who are the people? What's required of them? How they will be settled when they get here? In order to implement it, Denmark is going to open an office here with 2 diplomats to discuss the implementation of the cooperation agreement. We will also talk to the international organizations, such as refugee agencies, migration agencies, the African Union, the European Union, to solve problems faced by immigrants, including human trafficking, by finding new ways. If the current measures are not effective enough,
It is expected that when the two sides have signed the cooperation agreement, the asylum seekers that will be arriving in Denmark will be sent to Rwanda for their applications to be processed, as they will be protected, and this will be done in compliance with international law. Denmark's immigration minister says that it is of great value to work with Rwanda because it values the rights of people and refugees in particular.
We're very happy to be here in Kigali and continue the partnership. We reached a common agreement today about the coming transfer mechanism for spontaneous asylum seekers to change the way refugees are treated in the world and try to make a new way to make sure that the refugees that need protection the most are also the ones who gets the protection through, for example, the UN quota refugee system.
In addition to the issue of immigration, Rwanda and Denmark also discussed the cooperation between the two countries in development, governance and welfare of the people, where in particular Denmark agreed to provide 10 million euros that will help in various environmental protection activities and climate change. The Carnegie Mellon University and the MasterCard Foundation, in collaboration with the government of Rwanda, are currently pursuing a partnership in higher education in Africa that aims at supporting and providing a life-changing education to various young people from across the African continent. Now, the investment has various purposes, including to fund the university to establish a CMU Africa Center for the digital transformation of Africa. An exclusive interview with the director of this university, Professor Alan Robinson, he explored more on this partnership and how it will bring a positive impact on the continent. Take a look.
Hello, thank you for joining us on this conversation where we will be talking about education matters. Now, the MasterCard Foundation has signed a partnership with Carnegie Mellon University, which is to drive a youth-led digital transformation in Africa. It is said that about 10,000 young people from across the continent will benefit from this partnership. Joining us today is the Director of CMU Africa, Professor Alan Robinson. Director, we would like to know briefly about this partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. What does it entail?
Yeah, it's a really exciting new partnership, and there's two pieces. One is really to support students from across the continent to come to Kigali just to pursue world-class education. And the second thing is to create a network of African universities to work together on both education and to solve challenges on the continent.
What sort of impact do you foresee the initiative having on the continent?
The first is the students that graduate from our program, and we've been here for more than 10 years, and just seeing the impact that they've had in terms of starting businesses, working in government, and working in sort of established corporations, and the impact that they've had. So it's going to expand our impact in that dimension. The other way is around research and discovery of new knowledge that will allow us to solve medical challenges, agricultural challenges, and things like that on the continent.
Why did you decide that young people were the best fit to help drive this digital transformation?
I think that there's a passion and energy in young people, and they're the future, and it's what we do. It's sort of part of our mission is to educate young people.
What will be Rwanda's role in this continental push?
I mean, Kigali's the hub. And Rwanda is the hub for this network that we're building. And so people from across the continent are going to be coming to Kigali for education, to collaborate, for partnerships, to create companies. And so really it's sort of this hub and spoke model, and Kigali is really the hub.
Briefly, what sort of challenges do you foresee and how do you plan to overcome them?
I mean, I think the challenges are all good. I mean, there's so many opportunities, and I just think how do you prioritize in terms of which things will you work on first? And so I see that as the biggest challenge, but it's a great challenge to have.
As we sum up our interview, is there anything you would like to tell our audience about this investment?
Oh, I think it's really exciting, and it really speaks to the strategy that the government of Rwanda has in terms of developing Rwanda and having it become an ICT hub for Africa. And so we're part of that strategy. We're excited about that.
Students and parents are happy for the management agreements between the Ministry of Education and Catholic Church on taking over the management of the School of Lycée de Kigali, which will be managed by Marist Brothers. Adam Squizera has this report.
This new management of Lycée de Kigali came after the management agreements between the Ministry of Education and the Catholic Church relating to the school's management, which is known to be one of the excellent schools. Speaking to RBA, students and parents expressed their mixed reactions, where they are hoping to benefit much from this new management.
Lycée used to be an excellent school, and I hope they keep it that way even more. These brothers are known to be strict on discipline, as I affirm that a student from there becomes more competent in terms of discipline and knowledge.
We expect them to increase more discipline and curriculum performance. We have some information that they are known to have good management that results to best performance. Brother Mfuraya Sejan, who was appointed to be the principal of this school, he pledged his contribution to the development of quality education and also strengthening humanity and Christian values in their curriculum.
The high performance of the students, of course, to work on their discipline, and also in discipline we have to see what the best we can offer to the Rwandan child, even those foreigners who can be in our school. So we are here now to start from where the last administration started. they started from somewhere, they have reached to a certain point, and they want to pick up from there so that we contribute a lot to the quality of education. That is the aim of Rwandan government. Our aim just the Christian education, but of course it goes with the human education.
The Minister of State in Ministry of Education in charge of primary and secondary schools, Gaspard Twagirayezu, points out that these management agreements aims to the development of the school leading to the better education.
And the purpose is to better manage the school that we have called the Lycée de Kigali. It is still a public school, but what the agreement is about is to of course, better manage the school, is to make sure that the school is well managed, to make sure in terms of teaching and learning, but also in terms of other activities that happen at the school. Of course, since it's an agreement, we also have KPIs that we have put in place and to make sure that the new management is delivering KPIs, including better output in terms of academics, but also to make sure that the culture of excellence, both in academics, but also in athletics, in other talents that the students have, to make sure that these things keep improving.
Lycée de Kigali is known to be one of the excellent schools in the country. Was given to Maurice brothers, who usually manage other high-performing schools like École des Sciences de Biimana, TTC Save, TTC Moruru, and TVET Rwabuye. The Catholic Church is used to be a long-term partner with the government in education activities, where over 1,869 secondary schools, that are equivalent to 42%, are managed by both through that partnership. Adams Guizera, RwandaTV News.
Well, there you have it. On behalf of the entire news production team, thank you so much for your company. I'm Jane Motoni. Have a great weekend.